do everything to fight this. And I will not give up God if I'm raptured or if I should die or whatever. I know that in the end that He is the last thing that I will have. That is the one thing that will remain constant in my life. And God did not deceive me to get me. He's right in front of me. He never used a deceptive method like this. Any stalking victim that's out there, if you're contemplating suicide because of this ridiculous persecution, please don't do it. You know, I talk to so many people, and they're just ready for suicide, and that's what they want. It's either suicide or join them. And these weapons that you talked about, they will be used on a mass scale, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, and again, here's what we need to track. Because, again, Antichrist doesn't want, because I don't believe that the world will ever be nuclear, you know, there will be no nuclear annihilation. That thing, biblically, that, you know, the prophecy tells us that's not how the world will end. The world deals with a final clash of civilizations in Revelation 19:19. Leading up to it, there'll be skirmishes and wars and bloodshed and things like that, but the non-lethal weapons, the kinds of weapons that bring control and societal submission, is what is being developed. And I think that some of those that are developing those kind of weapons, they might just be scientists that, again, think in terms of how do we get ideas? You understand how, you know, things can just be shot into your head. In biblical satanic spiritual warfare, we read about the armor of God, and we're told as Christians to put up the shield of faith to what? To extinguish all the flaming arrows of the enemy. The flaming arrows are involuntary thoughts and feelings sent to Christians from the demonic side to bring discouragement, oppression, things like that. That's on the, I would say that's on the lighter, it's not lighter in the sense that it doesn't bother us. It's not as strong as, like, you know, being abducted and hypnotized with, you can have hypnosis done with post-hypnotic suggestion programming put in. That's what we found in some cases. You can also have younger victims that have been literally split in their personalities, programmed sub-personalities. And again, the top psychiatrist that worked with CIA back in the 40s wrote a book on this. And you can read his material, because some people still don't believe this could happen. Yet we have 4.5 million diagnosed cases of people who had purposely had sub-personalities put in them with programming, with agenda. Even the psychiatrist out of Canada, Colin Ross, and he estimates 10 million too, by the way. He also, the subtitle of his book, Project Bluebird, is and which he deals with the CIA and all the content and all the material. It's one of the biggest books. What he's done is he's gathered all the Freedom of Information Act materials, and he's gotten other information from, like, a book called Journey to Madness and the CIA doctors and all those kind of books, and he put it together as a psychiatrist because he's dealt with many of these people and victims and so forth. And the subtitle of the book is The Purposeful Creation of Multiple Personalities, a sub-personality. And they've used that to be the inside reconnaissance or the inside, like the assassin issue, the whole idea of a Manchurian candidate. And we've dealt, again, with thousands of hours with those kind of individuals. Even one that was sat in my car, that when the sub-personality came up, Gina, they looked at me, reached into the purse. This is a woman, but it was a male personality, not a demon, and pulled out a 9mm weapon. And I asked them what their name was, and they said they said, "My name is Assassin." I said, "That's what you do." They said, "That's all I do." He said, "Do you want to see my weapon?" And it was chambered, and he handed it to me. And I looked at it, and of course I'm praying there in my heart a little bit, saying, well, do I need to hand this back or what? Because this is a military-trained individual out of Fort Bragg, the most highly powerful, in satanic powers that I've ever seen. And so just as a prayer, whatever, I looked at the weapon and handed it back. This assassin personality looked at me and said, "Hey," they just looked at me dumbfounded. And then they looked at me and they said, "They told me you would just simply shoot me because you're my enemy." And I said, "Listen, you might think I'm your enemy, but I love you, God loves you, and I don't think you know who and what you are and who created you." And I said, "What do you think would happen if I would have shot you?" this personality said, well, nothing. What might have hurt, but nothing would have happened to me. I said, is that what they told you? And they acknowledged it, yes. So you have a sub-personality created that has all this programming, and it was an incredible encounter. And that's happened probably another 100 times with others. And so that's what I'm saying, that you can have the spiritual side where the satanic, and the more we see demonic presence in our culture, voices in the head, voices that tell people to kill, rape, do things, commit suicide, that can be extended, because that's voice to skull, voice to head, in the satanic sense. So the technology that has come into the heads of scientists to create the actual machinery that's voice to skull, or what they're now calling even the voice of God technology. Like you've said, voices coming into your head, even to claim, hey, I'm God, listen to this new leader, and you need, trying to kind of substitute the Holy Spirit and try to convince people. So the technology on the physical side, electronic side, and spiritual side, and technique has all been used. And the more we know it, the more we know how to be aware of it if it's happening to us, how to counter it. And I believe that with strategic intercession, targeted prayer, and with going after it, listening to the Spirit of God, going after them, that they get found. And they've been shocked, and they have been just, and of course angry.
Well, they're very angry. They're very angry anyway. Very angry.
Absolutely, they're very angry, and because they want their agenda. And here's what one of those warriors told me one time. And again, they were used in stalking too. They were used as one of the watchers, because the watchers, like we have one here in this area. Here's what happens. I'm back with we dealt with this federal officer's wife. She's gone. I got 4 other individual victims hanging around, dealing with them. The one from Fort Bragg and other places, and. All of a sudden, I had to go back to the house, and my friend's with me. I go run in the house down the basement to get something. All of a sudden, I'm hearing tires, squealing out, peeling out, whatever. So I go running back upstairs, and I could see my friend left. He was parked over by this church next door to us in the parking lot. So when he finally came back, I said, what happened? He says, man, Russ, you won't believe what happened. He says, I backed up by the church just to watch your house while I was waiting for you. And a car came and pulled right up into your yard, a man with blonde hair, big muscle-bound man with white blonde hair, a lady was driving, leaned out and began to take pictures of your house. And he said, I started my car and I chased him. He said, I chased him all the way back into town, and I lost him. Well, that's when I was involved with law enforcement, and I was kind of in law enforcement. I was recruited to come in so they could watch me and see what I knew. That's the ultimate. I mean, again, not all of law enforcement. There's just, again, small groups in all these places. But I was ultimately drawn in to be watched, even though and I didn't care, because it gave me access to preach Christ to cops, but also to learn a lot of their methods along the way. So it really backfired on them. Well, anyway, they ran a NCIC license plate, and we got the actual name of this individual and everything. So I'm home the next day, Gina, and I'm downstairs praying, and I'm saying, Lord, if this guy is for real, and I don't want to say his name on the air right now, but because he's still out there, if it's really real, he's really doing this, I said, really expose him, and we are really learning how to pray this, strategic, targeted prayer. So I'm coming back upstairs, looking through my windows. I'm coming. There's lattices on the window. I'm looking, and I'm seeing a car across the street parked, facing the house. And I'm seeing a person sit there, and I'm getting closer and closer, and I look out, and here's the guy with white blonde hair. It's the same guy. Now, so I go to the front door to open it, and of course he takes off, and so I'm like, wow, this is really something. Now, this is over 10 years ago. We just purchased a house a year and a half ago, and new location. The driveway, you have to pull in and go around to the back, and my wife and my daughter and I were coming around the backside, coming out an old truck I've got, and a Cadillac Escalade had pulled into my driveway. And a man and a woman were facing me. I pulled right up to the front of their bumper, and the lady on her side, I went around, she had a camera. I said, can I help you? And she said, oh, she says, you have a tree over there, and there's a tire with a rope on it hanging. She says, it was so pretty, it's so beautiful, I want to take a picture of your tire and the rope. And I can tell this is just